What's good, people? JC3 here. This is the 2021 NBA Finals Game 4 live stream. Duck my head. Look at that word, clutch. That's exactly what we just saw from Khris Middleton. Coming on here now live. Shout out to everybody already in the stream. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, it doesn't matter, but live, we're starting a little bit later because there was a lot for me to go through. Obviously, I got to make the thumbnail, I got to look up the stats, I got to get all of that dialed, but we got it dialed, and you know how we start here on these NBA Finals live streams. We shout out the chat. Dr. Philly Willie already out here. We're going to have him on the Zoom later. What a game that was. Indeed, brother. Indeed. Indeed. So you know how this goes. Put up the highlights behind me. We're going to get into that. Talk about the game, everything that went on there. Obviously, Khris Middleton is the big factor for tonight. Having that 40 ball, 40 points in 43 minutes, 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Obviously, big time for him, big time. But okay, we got the background up there. We're going to go into this, and then we're going to get into the Zoom. We're going to have that started up as well. So let's get straight into this right here and the highlights for game number 4 of this series. All right, so out here now, game 4, highlights playing in the back. This was Khris Middleton's game, but Devin Booker came out aggressive. After a 10-point game in game number 3, he bounced back. And early, the Suns take an early 10-4 lead. Booker obviously came out aggressive, looking for his shot. And it was basically him and Middleton battling all night, back and forth. When the Bucks seemed kind of stagnant, it was Middleton for them. The Suns' offense ran through Booker tonight because Chris Paul, he struggled. We'll get into that most likely once we get to the Zoom. We'll talk about that a little bit more because that is definitely got to be a point of reference. We cannot give Chris Paul a pass just because he's 36. I'm 36. That's actually the LeBron reference right there. If you know what I'm talking about, you can comment on that. But, yeah, the Chris Paul, unfortunately, a bad night for him. But he can't have the pass, right? He's in his first finals. He needs to capitalize. And the Bucks would not go down easy. I told y'all in game number 1 or 2 live stream that it is hard to win in Milwaukee. And they're showing why. The Deer District, 26,000 strong outside. And inside the arena, the Bucks were heating up. But the Suns controlled this game for the most part. Giannis recovers there and gets the board and throws it down. The Suns, they jumped out to an early lead, and Devin Booker was the catalyst, controlling this game for the most part at the end of the first quarter. I know we're not there on the highlights yet, but the Suns will lead 23-20 at the end of 1. And into the second quarter, okay, are the Suns going to go on one of these runs, right? Like we've seen them do it, patented run in Phoenix, but it was back and forth action to begin this second quarter with Middleton, with Booker. And you see Giannis on the break right here, drives in, lays it up and in. Giannis tonight, again, he's going to be always a leader in scoring for the Bucks, one of their leaders. He finished with 26 points and 14 rebounds. A 28-26 game here, according to the highlights. Chris Paul down low. And the pick and rolls were working tonight on both sides. Middleton, that's how he scored a lot of his points. Him and Giannis on that pick and roll, kind of isolate the action on either the left or right side of the court and let it go to work. And it worked out for Milwaukee tonight. Now the Suns, they'll take a 33-31 lead, but the Bucks tie right here with the Middleton lob to Brook Lopez. This is one of the highlight plays of the game for sure. And Devin Booker, he kept going. We'll eventually get to him on the highlight reels. Middleton was working up the points all night, right? You got to keep putting in those buckets if you want to get to 40, which he did get tonight. Cam Payne had a couple nice plays off the bench. But Devin Booker will eventually convert a tough left-handed layup here. He will knock down some more jumpers in the second quarter that looked very Kobe-esque. He had a very Kobe-esque fadeaway. Not this one, even though that one looked like it. He had that from the baseline. Booker ends up with 20 points in the first half. Here's the play that we're talking about right here. Backs down Pat Connaughton. I mean, who else have you seen this from? Completely, loses the dribble, nothing, nowhere else to go, fades back, and he's talking with somebody in the front row there. You got to love the heart tonight. Devin Booker with a bounce-back game, but the Bucks were more resilient in the end. And again, we'll get to that once we get to the live Zoom. But Middleton with a big shot here to tie the game, and it was all knotted at 52 going into the second half. You see just for a brief moment there, Chris Paul's stat line obviously is struggling on the night. Jay Crowder was a bright spot for the Suns, though. It was in double digits for them. Double digits for them, and in that fourth quarter, boy, he was selling the fouls, man. I don't know if you're a Suns fan, you'll probably say, oh, yeah, those were fouls, but, man, he was selling them. And, each foul needs a certain amount of acting, but Crowder was really, really getting into his acting bag. You'd probably say he went to Broadway there in the fourth quarter. But, that's what he had to do. That's what he had to do. And he's becoming one of the main public enemies in Milwaukee by selling those fouls. We'll get to that in the fourth. But Devin Booker continues to do work in the third quarter. He continued to convert on tough shots. He had a running left-handed shot, layup to start the quarter, and he keeps making these tough pull-up jumpers. But he did have to sub out eventually. We're going to get to that point around the 5:50 mark in the third for foul trouble. And at that point, when Booker has to sub out, he has 30 of the team's 65. And so Booker has already, see him on the bench right there behind Chris Paul in this play. So we're more around the 5:50 mark. He has to sub out of this game. Chris Paul, you think, okay, now is his time to step up and lead the team. But again, just not his night. I believe he only finished with 10 points. Cam Payne gets a tough and one. He was able to pick up some of the slack. Booker eventually checking back into this game around that 3:20 mark. He comes right back in and gets right back to where he started with another Kobe-esque type of fadeaway right there. Again, I did a similar plays video with him and Kobe, the ultimate compilation that you'll find on YouTube. You better check that out. That's not a threat. I'm just saying, if you like basketball, you better check that thing out. That's what I'm saying. Check that out at the end of this one. But the Giannis and Khris pick and roll really doing work for them. That was an ISO pull-up jumper right there. Middleton kept the Bucks in this game, held them around. Booker right there drives in and puts it in. In the third quarter, he finished with 18 points in that quarter. He had 38 points heading into the fourth quarter, and he was the only Suns player in double figures through three quarters. So Devin Booker doing work. His 38 points through three quarters. They're tied for the second most through three quarters in NBA Finals history with Steph for third, tied for second most. On that list also, Steph Curry had 40 points in a quarter, Allen Iverson 38 points as well. So he tied AI for second most in the finals quarter. But into the fourth, Booker and Middleton battle. Devin Booker's already out of this one. This was a key steal by Giannis, by the way. Booker picked up his fifth foul at the 10:40 mark in the fourth quarter, so he had to come out. Looking through more of the notes here, I don't know if they're going to show the Crowder fouls, but that was a big point of emphasis, something to watch for in this fourth. There was a point that the Bucks were down 9 in this fourth quarter, and big putback by Connaughton right here. There was a point where they were down 9, and they were resilient. That's the word for them tonight. They kept battling. They got key defensive stops. These steals were huge, and of course, this was a foul on Booker right here. Even Mike Breen, who is totally impartial, live, he said, it's a foul, but they don't call it because that would have been Booker's sixth. They needed to keep him in the game for plays like this, all right, whether you like that or not. I mean, you want your stars on the court. I would have called a foul, by the way. I mean, a foul is a foul. But, obviously, they knew the situation. There is Middleton with another pull-up. He was just draining these in the fourth. This block by Giannis had to be one of the best blocks I've seen in recent history. I mean, if LeBron didn't have a Game 7 block, I'd probably say that's one of the best, probably the best finals block he's seen in a while. Leads to more Middleton clutch shots. Middleton, he outscored the Suns 10-4 in the final 2:15 of the fourth. And he iced the game, scoring those 10 straight points for the Bucks at the end of this quarter. It's going to finish 109-103. Middleton tonight finishing with 40 on 45%, 45.5% actually exactly from the field. Giannis with 26 and 14. We're going to get out of this right here. We're going to get into the Zoom very, very soon. But Giannis, yeah, 26 and 14. Booker finished with 42 points on 60.7% from the floor. Ayton with 17 rebounds, but Chris Paul with just those 10 points on 38.5% field goal. He does need to improve there if they want to win this series. Now it's 2-2, and it's a best-of-3 series. And what we're seeing right now, if you're the Bucks, you don't want to repeat the Brooklyn series because that means you blow Game 5, but it is the exact same setup, and they've already been through this, a home series all the way through until Game 7. We'll see if it reaches that point in this one. But the Sun starters in Game 4, Devin Booker 42, everyone else 38. You just can't have that. You just can't have that if you expect to win. Y'all better fear the deer. Seeing Dennis out here, we're going to have him, Philly Willie. They are filling up the chat. We're going to have them on the Zoom and a couple of others. So go ahead and hold up for just a second. We're going to get that Zoom going, and we'll be back. Aaron Rye is in the building here. Oh, my goodness. Last time we saw him was, well, you came out for last year, right? You came out when the
Lakers were in the
Lakers
bubble final.
bubble. Oh man. All right, so this is the first one for this series that Aaron is on. We're gonna have Dennis join. I believe Phil will come out here and join this as well, and they should be coming up soon. But for everyone here and for Aaron that has entered the Zoom, I don't know who you are necessarily going for in this series, if you have a preference or whatnot. But through 4 games, man, what's the main thing that really stands out to you?
It was definitely how Booker played this game and kind of how he's played throughout the series. I mean, you can see from his 10-point game from game 3, like how he transformed this game. He could kind of change this series if he takes the same kind of mentality next game, and like if a few other players show up a little bit more, I think they'll have a lot easier time, especially in Phoenix. It'll be a lot easier for them. It's hard to win in Milwaukee for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Booker is known to bounce back well. Every bad, or necessarily, not necessarily his best game he's had this postseason, he bounces back immediately after. Aaron, obviously, known you a long time, huge Kobe fan. He gets the comparison, Booker does all the time. I've even posted some videos on it. I think it's fair. A lot of people have been compared to Kobe over the years, like Andrew Wiggins, guys like that. They don't necessarily pan out. We're always looking for the next Kobe, but I think Booker has, not only in his game, the similarities, but that mindset, like the ability to bounce back. He's very poised. I mean, do you see that comparison?
Yeah.
Do you think he's the
Oh
closest?
yeah, for sure. His shot creation is just like it's on the par of Kobe's. It's actually crazy how he can like just score the ball in many different ways. Once he gets the ball in his hands, it's hard to stop him.
Absolutely. I think it's evident when you see him shooting those mid-range jumpers and the fadeaways like he does as well. I mean, most guys don't go to that in the game anymore. It's either threes or layups, and it's really refreshing to see him. And I'll throw it to Dennis now because Khris Middleton is another one of those guys that can hit that mid-range jumper. He was hitting clutch shots tonight. Obviously, he's happy. Dennis, man, are you going to talk about Middleton or anybody else for the Bucks win tonight?
Y'all better know you have to fear the deer. Fear the deer.
I got you.
I'm so happy. Khris Middleton just came out. I didn't expect Khris Middleton, to go off like that. I mean, 40 points. I never expected that. I was expecting another typical, 35 points from Giannis, 14, 15 rebounds. But Khris Middleton came in clutch. This is the type of performance we need from him consistently throughout the whole series. He doesn't have to score like 40 again. He can score like, 30, 35, 30 like that. He needs to get them scoring numbers up. And Giannis, he didn't show up so much the score stat sheet, but he had that block late in the game, the rebounds. He was pretty good, and also Drew Holiday. I mean, those 3 guys just need to click. They just need to help each other. Khris Middleton helped the Bucks. Okay, sometimes it's not Giannis helping the Bucks. Sometimes it has to be Khris Middleton. This case was Khris Middleton tied up the series, and I'm happy. I'm not seeing where the guys who are saying Suns in 5. Where are they? I can't see them. Where are they?
I don't think they joined the call tonight, man. But to your point, I mean, it's crazy, and I'll throw it over to Philip. It's crazy at this point that we're saying Giannis, not even the biggest night, and he has 26 points, 14 rebounds, and some of the biggest defensive plays down the stretch, especially that block on Ayton. Do you want to comment on that or anything else that really stood out?
What was that block? Honestly, there wasn't even enough time to just react to the block because, the play was still going. But you have a legit 7-footer who just caught the lob. And this isn't just any 7-footer. This is DeAndre Ayton. He's one of the strongest players in the league, I believe. And Giannis is the one who comes out of nowhere and swats it away with that one hand. My goodness. This game was definitely a classic. Definitely love to see Khris Middleton get some love. I'm sad to say that I think this is his coming out party, so I can't talk about him as much as someone who knows the NBA and I guess basketball. I think casuals are definitely going to know who he is now, essentially.
Yeah, There is a well, first of all, to comment on the Giannis, the recovery on that play I think is the most impressive part. Like obviously his athleticism to get up and block the 7-footer, but his back was turned to I think it was Chris Paul. Was it Chris Paul lobbing it to him? When the lob was initiated, his back was turned to the play. So like he had to turn around, recover to Ayton, catch the fly of the ball, and block it. Like just insane athleticism, instincts, reflexes, everything like that. To the Middleton point, there's this chart going around. I'll toss it back to Dennis. I don't know if you've seen this because you have commented on this in the past, Dennis, that Middleton will have a dud type of a game, then he'll be just brilliant in a meaningful game that they need to win. Middleton, There's this chart where it says he is basically he has a dud game, then he has a decent game, then he's underrated, then he plays like MJ in the fourth, then he's back to having a dud game. Like, why do we go through this Middleton cycle, and what's the key that the Bucks need to focus on in Game 5 to try to win in Phoenix?
Okay, I feel like the Bucks need a, realistically speaking, Game 5 will be a dogfight between the Suns and the Bucks because let's be honest about this. There's no way I see the Suns losing 3 games straight after winning 2 games straight. So this game is gonna be, it's either gonna be a 10-point spread in the Suns' favor. Although I'm a Bucks fan, but I feel the Suns are gonna win this game. Then the Bucks are gonna go back home and win the next game. Because I feel like there's no way. I mean, the chances of, as much as I support the Bucks, I don't see them, winning Game 5 easily. The way they won. Okay, this game was not easy at all, but I don't see them winning 3 games straight. It's gonna be a tall ask. I actually never expected them to, I never expected them to, pull off such a performance today. I was supporting the Bucks, but I never saw that coming. I was afraid of, the Suns going up 3-1. But for the Bucks, they need to, get back. They try to, steal this game. They have the ability to steal this Game 5 and take it over in Game 6. I mean, Game 5 is too hard to call for me at this point. We're looking at the series is.
For sure. Well, real quick before I kick it back over to Aaron, the fun fact was Middleton earlier today, over under 24.5 points. And I know anybody after the fact can say, I picked the over. I think I picked him over at 26 or 27. Never expected a 40. Now, it's a different story, Aaron, though, when we know that when they go to Phoenix, Middleton, Holiday, they don't seem to play as good just based on the first 2. We are seeing a repeat of that Brooklyn series right now with the all-home winners. Do you think the Bucks can pull off a Game 5, or is this thing going at least 6 or 7?
I think
it's going to go 6.
I think they could
7,
pull off a win if they have a lot better shot selection. Like the shots they took today, they weren't the greatest, especially when, like, I really hate seeing Lopez shooting threes. Like, he should not be shooting
That's
threes.
True, it's true.
But if they can move the ball and like work the ball through Giannis more, once Giannis gets going at the beginning, it opens up more shots for their shooters. So if they could kind of use that and create better shots for themselves, I think they could pull off a win by like 5 at least. But it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you give it to Giannis, you can obviously you play that drive-in, kick-out game. The defense can collapse. I think to Philip, another great thing that they've been doing since, I believe they did it in Game 3, the pick and roll with Middleton and Giannis on one side of the court. We already talked about this before, but it gets either Holiday or Middleton, whoever's doing it with Giannis, in the flow of the game, so they're not just watching Giannis ISO and stand there. They can get in a rhythm, they can get in a flow. If they can continue that, do you think that's something that they should look to build on? And if you're Phoenix, too, that's part 1, Bucks continue to pick and roll. Part 2 of the question, Chris Paul. What do you want to say about Chris Paul's
Chris Paul has just he's gotta facilitate the ball a lot better. He turned the ball over way too many times this game, and obviously like him scoring would be nice, but his passing is like the main thing you need out of him, and he just couldn't do that this game.
Absolutely. Philip, you have a comment on Chris Paul as well?
Yeah. First of all, apparently in the past 3 games, he's averaging about 5 turnovers a game, which kind of boggles my mind. I've never seen Chris Paul do something like this, like ever. This is like a new experience, I guess, for him because this is the highest level. This is the NBA Finals. You got to get your game right. You got to get your game on, and you got to play hard and elevate that game, if anything, because you're here. You're literally at those pearly gates for your first NBA championship. Don't screw this up.
I like the vivid imagery and the language there, man. Pearly gates, this is it. Yeah, I mean, it's really surprising to see Chris Paul do this. Dubbed the point god, right? He had 32 and 9 in the first game. He just looked dominant. Like he always looks like he's in control of the game. But yet tonight, they'd bring someone up on him quick, pick the ball from behind. Miscommunication, you turn the ball over, throw it out of bounds, guys just not there. I don't know if it's just a thing with being on the road because that's a crazy crowd, but Chris Paul has faced it all before. It's very interesting. So he's the one we got to see bounce back. To Dennis, it was posed to Booker. You scored 10 points in game 3. He responded in this one. Chris Paul, how do you think? What do you think the main thing that Chris Paul has to do coming out of the gate? Is it just taking the game as it comes, or does he need to look to score or pass right away? Which one of those do you think he needs to do first?
CP3 needs to realize that he is the point guard. He's the point guard that he is, the same way that he realized it in the Clippers series. The Bucks did the same thing. The Bucks did the same thing to the Suns. What the Suns did to the Bucks in this sense. In game 2, you remember Giannis got 41 points. He led the team. You know, he did everything, but they lost. So the Bucks let Devin Booker go off for 42 points. CP3 had an off night. The usual suspects of the Suns had an off night, and they let Devin Booker have that 42 piece. But in the end of the day, the Bucks came out with the win because I feel like this Bucks team, the way they played pretty. As much as they didn't have good shots like the way Aaron put it. They didn't have the greatest shot, but the thing is that the shots were dropping and they had the stops that they needed, like that Giannis block out of nowhere. So CP3, I believe he's gonna take control of Game 5, and I don't see Devin Booker dropping another 42-point game. I see him dropping at least 25, 27. CP3 is gonna take over. Is gonna drop at least another 32-point, 10 dimes like that. So he's gonna have to take control because he let Devin Booker go off, but it didn't help them. So CP3 is gonna take over the same way CP3 took over with the Clippers series. That's what it's gonna do. So because they're only 2 wins away, and the Bucks only 2 wins away, and CP3 is gonna take control of the series, no doubt.
Yeah, best of 3 series. Best of 3 series. I like how you just call it, man. 32, 10. This was gonna happen, man. Just put it out there. But Dennis makes a great point for this game and comparing it to Game 2, right? Because Booker tonight 42, the rest of the starters 38. Giannis had that big 41, I believe, in Game 2. The rest of the starters didn't really help him. Middleton and Holiday both had only in the tens of points. And then you get a contributor, like the Suns in Game 2 had Bridges for 27. Tonight for the Bucks, you get Connaughton off the bench with 11 points and 9 rebounds. He had a big putback at the end of that game as well. So there are some good comparisons to make there. And you just think about your best player. You think your best player scores all these points, you're going to win automatically. But it is about as well, how can we get the rest of the team involved? And the flow just wasn't there as much. But one guy who did good for Phoenix tonight that I want to throw around this virtual roundtable, if you will, is Jay Crowder. He had 15 and 8. Aaron, was he flopping in the fourth? Or was it because I was like, man, he looks like he's really selling these calls, but I don't want to claim that somebody's flopping unless you think he is.
I love his last flop at the end where he barely gets touched and he goes running to the other side of the court.
Yeah, dude, that was
he was flopping so much. Yeah. He can sell a foul real well.
Every time in the backcourt, when they tried to rip the ball after a rebound, he'd go straight, fall down, go straight for the eye. Every time.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know how he wasn't blind.
Absolutely. I mean, they were in the penalty with God, they were shooting free throws with like 7 or 8 minutes left to go in the game. They were already in the 1-and-1, which is going to be a 2 shots in the NBA situation. So that was pretty wild. But to kick it back, we'll go Dennis and Philip to wrap up. Booker was in foul trouble in this game. He had to come out with the 5th foul at about 10:40 in the 4th. The Bucks are going to go on a run in that time. I don't know if there's really any clear answer, but if they can't avoid that, I don't see how Phoenix can pull out these wins if they can't have Booker on the floor. Do you think that played a huge factor in tonight's game and could going forward? To Dennis?
What I can say is that I feel like, the way the Bucks and Suns have played for the last 4 games, I feel like both teams are getting a sense of their weakness, the other team's weaknesses, the other team knows their weaknesses. So if they're able to bait again at Devin Booker to foul out, I mean that's the best chance they have to stifle their offense, because if you take Devin Booker out and CP3 has an off night, you have to call in the other guy, Khris Middleton, pick up the slack, like the way he picked up the slack this game. I just want I just want Khris Middleton to continue like this, so that I can pick him over Jason Tatum in the near future. So
that's true.
But in this panel, I'm the guy who was a diehard supporter of the Bucks, and I'm still am, as much as I had the Suns in 5 narrative being spread after game 2. I can say I really supported the Bucks still, and I still support them now. So I feel like they have a good chance to win this game. So yeah, the series, not even this game, the series. So yeah, that's what I could say.
For sure. Yeah, we'll see. And finally, to Philip, comment on the Crowder situation or anything else you want to do as we wrap up here.
Yeah, I agree. He sells those fouls really well. I do think that the shots to the face were real because he actually reached for like the area. I think there was one where I was like, where did he actually get hit on the face? And he was reaching for like, that typical like forehead around the eye, kind of wincing. Other than that, yeah. Hey guys, we finally have a series on our hands. It's going down for real.
Absolutely. We'll do one flash prediction because, first of all, before we do this, you don't have to feel bad if you get it wrong, because I was the one who said after game 2, I don't see the Suns blowing this series. They look so locked in. So, I mean, I don't look good right now. I was like, I don't really see them blowing it. But after that, I did say it could definitely happen. You guys remember that, yeah. I could say it could happen, but I don't see it. They seem locked in. So we'll go to Aaron. Is this going to go 7 games? That's all I want to know. 7 games or not?
7 games, for sure.
7 games. To Dennis, 7 or no?
7 games.
I don't even have to ask Dennis. Dennis is going to say 7. So why'd I even ask Dennis?
7 games.
Philip, 7 or no?
It better be 7 games. I mean, the home teams tend to keep home, and I'm pretty sure the Suns will actually win the next one. I believe they're playing in Phoenix Saturday, right?
Saturday, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll be a 7-game series.
7 game. I'm on that bandwagon as well, just because I want to see more basketball before we have to watch this USA team potentially not win gold.
Hey, if the teams don't force 7 games, the refs will force 7 games. You're not gonna worry about it.
That money, man. They want that extra money. That's definitely true, though. The officiating is something to watch.
Atrocious, this series. I have not seen it worse.
Well, I think the problem is the consistency,
Yeah, that's
right?
the problem.
And the commentators made a point. It is called differently during the regular season. And there was even a quote, this is a total sidetrack, but before we get off here, by Tatum talking about the first 2 FIBA games, saying it is officiated a lot differently than the NBA. And he was looking for calls that he would have gotten in the regular season in the league that he wasn't getting in these USA exhibition games. So you look at that, how they call it in the regular season versus how they're calling it in FIBA. Now, the refs, they switch it in the finals. They're letting more go, but yet they let more fouls go, but you get Jay Crowder flopping and they give him calls. So I don't know where the line is, but like that is a real thing. On one of the surveys I did this year, asking what's the one thing you could change about the NBA to make it more entertaining, the officiating was the #1 response with like 40, nearly 40% people saying they need to change the refs.
I like how the FIBA does
which
it.
I don't
Man.
really know what
They
you
don't
can do.
call those little pump fake, like one tap fouls. They don't call those. I like how the FIBA's been doing it.
Yeah, that'll be good to watch. I definitely will be tuning into that, and probably we all will be. But after the finals, which I hope goes 7 games, just for the sake of it. And like Aaron said, the refs will make it go 7. All right, that's it. I'll say peace out to y'all, and we'll see you back here on Saturday for the next one.
All right, peace.
Peace out.
Peace.
All right. So we are back here, officially wrapped up with game number 4. Khris Middleton, clutch fourth quarter, outscoring the Suns 10-2 down the stretch. The Bucks come back to tie the series 2-2. We'll see if they can take a commanding 3-2 lead going back to Milwaukee on Saturday, or if the Suns will go home and heat it up down there in the Valley. So we'll see what happens. You can join us back Saturday night or wherever you are around the world. Maybe it's Sunday. Come join the live stream after the next one. And thank you to everyone who joined via the chat, via the Zoom. And we'll be back with more Topic Tackle coming soon for the NBA Finals. Stay solid, people.